Love yourselves.
As you know, there is only a limited number of real estate in the afterlife, so sign up now while you can.
The apocalypse is nigh. Plagues upon your houses. The rivers will run with blood. Hey! Hey, you! I'm talking to you! Hey, get back here! Hey! Don't make me start smiting!
In intelligent design, you get to, well, play God. We give you two main ways to do this. Our normal gameplay mode, as well as our challenge mode. In our challenge mode, you're given a pre-created world with a specific objective. For instance, we have our Garden of Eden challenge, where you're given a world where half of it is a paradise, a Garden of Eden if you will, and the other half is a wasteland. And your job is to keep your Adam and Eve inside of the Garden of Eden and not eating the forbidden fruit for as long as possible. In our normal gameplay mode, you're given a lot more freedom. You get to start off by creating your world, deciding everything from the size of your world, where land masses are, to what animals will be in your world, and where people will live. After you've created your world, that's when the real fun starts. You have to try to keep people believing in you and manage your world. So the key is getting people to have faith in you, and faith is the key resource in this game. The more faith people have in you, the more powerful you become, and the more ways you can interact with your world and manage your world. However, on the flip side of that, if your faith drops below a certain level, your world will fall apart, literally. So how do you keep your faith up? Well, you start off just by micromanaging your world, doing things like reaping souls, controlling weather patterns. But then we also have our inspiration system, which allows you to create a Bible and set up prophets. On top of this system, we have our manifestation system, which allows you to create an avatar for yourself and walk amongst your people, so that your believers can talk to God themselves. Now, of course, all of these things are great, but there's a flip side, and the key to this game is managing all of your interaction with the world, but making sure that all your believers believe the actions are you're doing, that there's not some other gods creating things as well. And if you manage to have all of your acts that you perform be attributed to you, then you truly have made an intelligent design.
Intelligent Design is more than just a game with an exceptional and unique narrative. It is also a game deeply rooted in player interactivity. The player controls every aspect of the game, from creating the world and all of its inhabitants to interacting with its creations. This highly interactive game gives players freedom of creative expression and individuality. This game provides an outlet for intellectual genius in us all. The player identifies with the game through immediate control. This game, unlike many others, does not include a main character, such as in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This game is more similar to a game such as SimCity, where the player controls its characters and surroundings by clicking on control buttons on the screen. These buttons are tools that will allow interaction between certain elements of the game. Though the buttons remain constant, meaning containing the same functions, the level of change in the game is based upon the player and what he or she desires to do with his or her created world. An unseen and non-created character in the game gives the player more room to identify with the game and the gameplay. For instance, men who play Tomb Raider have to play as a female character, Lara Croft. But in this game, you are the main character. There isn't a pre-designed character for you. It is you who drives the narrative and finishes the missions, and you who creates and controls the gameplay. Without a main character, the player can easily place his or herself in the mode of the game. As a main controller, the player is not acting as God, the player is God. The genre of this game is best classified as a God game. This gives the player numerous possibilities of action without having to be an actual character in the story.
For intelligent design, we chose to use the platform of the PC. This allows you to control all the movements that you'll be making in a much easier way. For example, there's a lot of selecting and pasting, which we felt the easiest way to do was simply with a mouse. We want intelligent design to be uttered in the same breath as other such games such as The Sims, SimCity, Civilization. That said, we understand that a game such as SimCity is rated E for everyone, whereas The Sims is rated T for teen. We also understand that our game deals with a lot of sensitive issues, such as religion, beliefs, evolution. Therefore, we're targeting an audience that'll be firm enough in their beliefs and mature enough to understand that this is simply a game for entertainment value. Therefore, we want to have our game rated T for teen as well. Our game also deals with a lot of Western beliefs, such as religion, where, for example, we have the fact that you have to create the game in 6 days, and then on the 7th day you rest and watch your world evolve in front of you without any interaction. We're also dealing with issues of evolution, which is a very sensitive issue in today's world. We're even taking our name from the debate of intelligent design, which involves the combination of science and religion into one. Now that you know all about the platform of intelligent design, go out and buy yourselves a copy of Intelligent Design. Because with intelligent design, you've got the whole world in your hands.
And God said, "Let there be intelligent design." And there was, and it was good.
In a game where the world, the creatures, and the faith you establish are constantly evolving, time is critical in understanding the way the game is played. It is one of the only constants in the game. It is always moving progressively forward. However, at the same time, it can also be manipulated by the user. Much like the game The Sims, time can be sped up or slowed down at the user's whims. This somewhat allows the user to set the tempo or anxiety level of the game. This type of gameplay falls into Wolf's category of ticking clock pressure, where there is no time limit, but when and for how long you do an event affects the outcome of the game. At the same time, certain tasks in our game do have a time limit, so they would fall under Wolf's category of time pressure. For example, at the beginning of our game, you only have 6 days to create the world and the creatures that inhabit your world. Our gameplay employs Poole's notion of strategic timing, where fast reactions are subordinated to the intelligent manipulation of resources over a certain amount of time. In conclusion, our game tried to escape from the looped time and repetition, that dominate many video games. In our game's basic structure, you do not have to complete a set task to advance to the next level. Our world is constantly evolving and changing, regardless of the amount of interaction you have with it. However, the user can choose to control the world to its most minute detail. The world is yours. Control it at your leisure.
Space is also a key element of intelligent design. For, unlike previous God games, the user isn't asked to play like God and shape a world. Rather, the user plays as God and must create a world within with which to spread their own faith. The very premise of space and intelligent design is based on Shigeru Miyamoto's principle that location is a key element of the game. This location must have enough choices for the user to feel like the gameplay is limitless when, in actuality, there are enough rules to provide a structure to the game. Intelligent design takes this quite literally, allowing the player to create their own space at the game's outset. The user actually picks the geometric shape of their planet. It can be flat, spherical, or the user can even sketch out their own 3D polygonal design. After this is completed, the player enters the real game. The actual view of the game is similar to previous God games, with an overhead view of a map like World, but the difference is in scope. Being in charge of the whole planet, the user is able to change the height of the viewpoint to an extreme point above the surface in order to scroll to the distant lands more easily. The game will also feature a small grid structure on screen, which displays a map of the whole world and allows the player to travel to another part instantaneously by clicking on the corresponding grid area. After selecting your own world, the next phase of the game mimics the first 6 days of creation. Within these 6 days, the user populates their own world with land masses, oceans, and living creatures. Unlike previous simulation games, Intelligent Design strives to allow users more choices than ever before. You can pick the relative sizes and shapes of the different geographical areas. Thus, if you wish to have a donut-shaped mountain range with a deep ocean in the middle cover 50% of your world, then you may do so. And of course, for players who choose to make an incredibly large world, you don't have to design every aspect of it. The game would feature a randomizer, which will cause the computer to generate any remaining uncultivated lands whenever you are ready to go on to the next part of the game. This next phase of intelligent design is where you must attempt religion control throughout your new world. Here space takes on new meanings. Since time is now flowing ever forward, the user becomes unable to create new lands, but they can still change existing ones. For an intelligent design, if the user can control nature whenever they wish, they can do that whenever they wish. If, for example, a culture has been advanced into an industrial age with a faith level at an all-time low, you may find it necessary to send a disaster earthquake their way. Or, if complete annihilation is preferred, crush a small asteroid right into the center of it. Of course, all action taken in intelligent design will have consequences with your followers. Part of the fun, then, comes from the fact that you can't be everywhere at once. Thus, this forces the player to strike a delicate balance between the spaces they influence, as well as the time they influence it in. Thus complete space in intelligent design.
How's that?
Eh,
Oh!
East Coast represent.
Got that?